2 weekends of games, $10,000 on the line. I'd get involved if I was you. But it's time to kick off our third place decider match. See who is going to be taking a slice of that prize. Because let's bear in mind, only one of these teams walks away with any money. There's $500 up for grab. This is a $500 money match, essentially.
Effectively, yeah. There's $500 on the line. Winner gets all of it, though. No, the loser, unfortunately, will walk away empty-handed. And you don't want to have to grind it out for 4 weeks straight, because obviously neither of these teams playing in the play-in round, but 4 weeks of play for these guys to walk away empty-handed. That's a big feels bad, man. So you want to be the team coming out on top here, and you see the bands getting underway already.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see how this draft is going to pan out, because we've seen some interesting picks out of these two teams over the last couple of weeks. Kensei somehow made it through the bans, though, so immediately that is the interesting pick in all scenarios when he's made it through the bans. I'd expect Vision to just first pick this, but maybe it's something they don't play. It's not something we've seen them use specifically.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't. They're not going to take the Kensei. They give it over to the side of Feroxx. This has been Ferox's crux. This has been what they've fallen back on. They have won so many games with this Kensei. I don't understand why this is getting let through to them. Like, if you've done any sort of looking into Ferox's history recently, their best performances are with Kensei. It doesn't even make sense to me.
Honestly,
I don't understand it.
Kensei is not inherently broken, but when you have an entire team that is going to play around his style, he's going to assassinate your carries, and he's going to be terrifying in the later stages of the game. Bear in mind, Feroxx wants to get to the late game. Kensei is pretty much the best late game hero in the game, bar maybe Baron.
It looks like Vision wants to just go for a really tanky composition and say, this is how we deal with Kensei, by just having a whole lot of health in front of him. But we've seen teams try and do that against Kensei players before. It hasn't worked. It is very rare that a team has an answer for Kensei, and usually when they do, it's because it's the only time we've seen Kensei lose is when the team that won was a heavy favorite in the match previously already. So I just don't agree with this decision to let it through here.
We have seen it lose compositionally, though. Like, in some of those matchups, they were close games, and it didn't feel like it was just, oh, these guys were just better. Sometimes, like, if you can build a composition around protecting your carries, if you can just survive his onslaught, try and burst him down before he can finish someone off, it can work. But then, if you add Reza into the mix, if you add a Lorelei to keep him alive while he's jumping onto the back line, and also deny Lorelei from your opponents, suddenly things start to look real scary.
Yeah, there's, again, looks like Team Squish versus Team Tank right now. There's 4 heavily defensive heroes that are just very durable, have a lot of health, and if they lock in this Rona, that is exactly what they're doing, just full on as much health and durability as possible. And over on the other side, you have 4 rather squishy heroes, and we'll see what they round it out with on the side of Feroxx, because they do not have any of this durability.
Toph is playing, so they could just lock in the Finn. That's
very
something
well
we
could.
know Toph for. Like, Toph kind of made his name on
They
Finn.
could, but the problem is, if you pull a Rona, a Tony, an Arden, and a Lance into your team,
Very true.
That is
Very
not
true.
what you want in this situation. So it looks like we're actually going to have to wait a little bit to find out what that final pick is going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's not Finn. I mean, there was a couple of captains still open, so we'll see which direction they want to go with that one. This is actually turning out to be a pretty interesting draft, though, honestly. I feel like even though Kensei is on the side of Feroxx, the draft on the other side of the board is actually still terrifying. Like Vision, if they can control the map the way that we know they can.
The most interesting thing to me about this draft that Vision has done here is they let the Kensei through and then didn't draft a single clear target for Kensei. Like normally when you see teams go up against Kensei, they still have a Celeste, or they have one of these or a Kinetic, or one of these backline carries that is Kensei just says, that's my target, I'm going after them every single fight. That doesn't exist on this Vision lineup. So this may well be the answer to Kensei, but
this is it.
It's awfully risky still. We'll see if they can do it, especially because there's the other thing about this is not an early game composition that Vision have put together. They know that the side of Feroxx struggles early game, so they said, you know what? We're just going to go for a full-on late game composition as well.
Fortress is going to be coming on through as the final pickup here for the side of Feroxx. So it's pretty much hard engage versus just bruisers, just full bruiser composition. I'm actually really excited to see how Vision plays this. This is a very different composition to what we're used to seeing. So keep your eyes on Vision and try and figure out how they're going to play this one.
It's a very different composition from what we're used to seeing from both of these teams. Like, we're not used to seeing this kind of late game fight-focused composition out of Vision, and we're not used to seeing this early game dive composition out of Feroxx. So maybe both teams going a little bit out of their comfort zone, just trying to catch their opponents off guard. Who knows? It's going to be really interesting, though. But I do actually really like the way that both teams went about that draft.
I'm excited for this draft because Vision's roster is not something we've seen much of, but it's about time that we kick this money match off. It's time to find out who's going to be able to get that third place spot. It's Vision up against Feroxx. I'm going to pass it once again to Humanist and Excounter.
Hello, Vainglorians, and welcome to this fiery third place matchup. I'm Humanist, joined by Excoundrel. And this is going to be a great series to start the day off. Excoundrel, we have some action already in the bottom. How about them apples and how you doing?
Well, I'm not convinced Rona is the best pick in the world. I know she's had a couple of updates. I'm not really sure about the 4 scout cams in one brush either. But regardless, that's a good start for the Kensei specifically. Kensei, really strong hero on this current update. And actually, if you look at Ferox's lineup in general, they have a lot of strong heroes here. Really good late game scaling, a lot of power picks, whereas you can see Vision Gaming not quite so much in that territory.
Feroxx going hard on Cause right now. Cause, there's nowhere to go. He's down. That's 2-0 for Feroxx. That's the weapon buff, and now Gold Oak as well. Things looking quite good for Team Feroxx over here. Already over 1K net worth advantage in the first minute. Can you tell me what is going on?
Well, as you can see right now, it is a man advantage across the map for Feroxx, obviously. As we can see, the Arden is yet to move. Obviously, as players are responsible for their own connections, it's up to Shaded Talent to get back in. So right now, you can just see Team Feroxx appearing to try and abuse that man advantage that they have on the map. They really don't have like the best early game composition, but the Fortress and the Kensei combination is doing work, as you can see.
Do you think maybe a bit of strategy coming out of Shaded Talent, just to, you know, to make sure that he catches his opponents off guard as he does make his way back onto the map? No mercy coming out of this hungry stack of Team Feroxx, putting them up 5-1 2 minutes in. And quite the unfortunate way to start your first matchup in this series.
Yeah, so basically, it's just giving them false hope. Just saying to Feroxx that we're going to give you a bit of false hope. We're going to lull you into a false sense of security, and then we're going to come back and slam you real hard.
And also think about like how hard Shaded Talent can focus on what the rest of his team is doing, right? Like imagine you're trying to backseat drive, right? You're not driving your own car. You're looking at everybody else. So he can just kind of command and conquer this one.
Okay, we finally had the pause come out here. But yes, so you can see Shaded Talent is now back. He's picked up on a couple of items, actually picked up a contract as well. I mean, it's a very small advantage. 2,000 gold is a significant amount to work with at about 2 minutes 30 into the game, Humanist, but it's not insurmountable for...
if I was playing...
Well, yeah, if you were playing. It's not insurmountable for Vision to get back into this, though. They definitely have the potential. They've got a great wombo combo. I mean, if you get that Lance there into a Tony Taunt, you have the CC land, you put them in the gauntlet, and that's where Rona is just going to churn people up. I can see it working. But overall, the composition from Feroxx is just stronger, in my opinion, and scales much better, too.
What kind of Rona build works for this matchup here?
Well, there's really only one Rona build that you can go right now, which is Serpent's Mask Breaking Point. I mean, Rona doesn't really function with any other build, right? Especially given how strong Serpent's Mask is on this current update. There isn't much reason to go for a Poison Shift this game. The only thing that you'd be affecting is the healing from the barriers and the healing from Kensei. I would consider a Poison Shift for that Kensei specifically, but I think if you're going to have to look for a wombo combo, the problem is that Poison Shift is such a weak item right now that it's going to really severely hurt Rona's build overall.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest that, definitely. I was more thinking if it was like 5v4, maybe you go just for like the crit build so you can split push super hard, try to take advantage of rotations, but it'll be more of a standard game here as we have Shaded Talent joining up with his team in perfect timing. And who would have thunk it right as the weapon tree is spawning? Nice timing from Shaded Talent.
Yeah, and again, right back into the action, already level 2. I mean, like you said, it's a small disadvantage to to work with, but realistically not insurmountable for Vision. It happens in online tournaments, and they're very happy to sort of get back into the game and get going. But no mercy for Team Feroxx. They're going to continue their aggression. The boots in from Mozji as well, going for this back gold oak, trying to starve that gold away from Vision Gaming.
And they will successfully take it away. Vision actually have 4 heroes. They should kind of get it. This is a 5 versus 3. Go get them. You can't let someone own your jungle like this. This is an absolute disgrace. Get the in wall, into the impale, into the taunt. It's something that you spoke of just moments earlier. They will only take down the Kinsei, but probably the most important kill for them to take.
Definitely, he's the absolute standout performer, especially going into sort of the later game team fights. They do have to worry about Toph on this Scarf, though. I mean, we talk about Kensei scaling well. Scarf scales incredibly well on the other side of the pitch, also in terms of CP. So realistically, whilst yes, you are worried about Kensei, you do also have to pay a mind to Lost Boy on this Scarf, who will, again, if you're focusing Kensei, rip you apart with that Dragon's Breath. They also have a really nice escalator scale in the form of this Reza, although we have a fight.
Yes, that's Papa John being taken down off the bat. Vision Gaming in a good place to grab that weapon buff, and they will. I've been requested to call Pico Peko. I don't know about that. It does throw me off a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Peko. I mean, yeah,
Peko,
I would go for Peko. I'm interested in what Peko is particularly building, though. He's gone for a heavy prism and a blazing salvo. Now that would suggest an alternating current Reza, which, in my eyes, is not the optimal way to play Reza. But it would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's not something we typically see. But this guy's not a typical player. I mean, he is the Anka player in North America right now. So he's obviously kind of trying to do his own thing, maybe at times doing it successfully. How does it play out here?
I mean, versus a Tony who you're not going to burst in a 1v1 matchup, there's the potential to take an elongated fight with the alternating current and just try and win in a sustained battle, because you're not going to be bursting. And again, you're not exactly against very many squishy targets. As you can see, Peko going in.
Going in, taking a lot of damage, dashes back with the Troublemaker, dropping it incredibly low. The rest of Feroxx stunned up with the Githian wall. They'll follow. The damage is there. Kensei is down, and Team Feroxx are now on the run. Lost Boy Toph taunted up with some trash talk. Neon Fire has a stun with the Jawbreaker as well, but nothing else to really lock them down. Crystal Treant close to being taken down. Oh, unfortunately, it won't go over to Vision, but Vision continue to look for the chase. Peko's low, another stun coming out of the Tony here. They switch focus, a stun onto Chamu, lockdown. Chamu's gonna fall. Vision Gaming, a successful invade into Team Feroxx jungle. This will put him up 6-5, 6 minutes in. Still down in overall net worth, though.
Yeah, they are working with really good spike at this point in time. They have the tension bow. Yeah, good night, Peko. They have the Servant's Mask spike on the Rona. They have the Tension Bow spike on the Lance. These are some decent mini spikes for these teams in terms of items. And you also have the Samuel sitting on what I would call a mini lane spike in the form of an Eclipse and a Heavy Prism. So realistically, really nice time to fight. The reason I'm confused about the alternating current, especially against this composition, is although you don't have any squishies to burst, you actually have a lot of people who are going to naturally scale in HP values, which is Arden, Tony, Rona, and Lance. All of them are going to scale very heavily naturally with their natural HP values that they get levels. That makes Aftershock better. Aftershock is a percentage health-based chunker. That makes it better versus these kind of targets. That's kind of why I'm a little bit confused at the alternating current coming out here.
Yeah, but if you have enough crystal power, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but I mean, alternating current doesn't really give you that much crystal power.
Well, that'll be built after, my man. Yeah, I get your point. Obviously,
no. You're memeing me. I get it.
But, the thing is, it's happening right now. Like we can't stop it. The question is, where does he go next? If you had to predict.
Well, it looks like he's building like a split push build, I imagine. I don't know. He's looking for team fights over and over again, but it just feels like it's a more split push orientated build. I would be going for something like a Dragon's Eye if you're looking for sustained battles.
Yeah, I think that'd be a smart way to go. Peko moves on in. Look at him. Look at that. Just stutter stepping all over this turret. Lost Boy connected with some damage, and that'll drop it down pretty low. Up in top, Tony's going to be pinned up in his lane for a little bit as he have to shove that wave back out. Did lose the T1 as Team Feroxx shoved that forward, and he really couldn't do much about that. Back down towards the Crystal Treant here. It's contested. It's taken away by PvP Warrior. A great job by PvP. He'll go ahead and spin with the Red Mist to get himself out of here, and I believe he gets out unless there's a mark to come out of Fortress, and it will not be in time. They lose the Gold Oak, but they get out.
This is heating up a little bit. Pecco really going in on this build, and he's actually not doing too bad at 2-1 and 2. I mean, we can't really fault the guy. Also very good in his ultimate. You get. Do you know what? I've been theory crafting this the entire time you were speaking. Alternating current in the ultimate. Remember, he actually automatically applies his passive when he's in his ultimate. So if you have alternating current in your ultimate, you're looking for a big power play when you activate that ability, Humanist. So actually, it could be useful in teamfight situations as well. So I mean, it's not awful. It's just not usual.
Well, we'll see how it's. I mean, I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out for him. One thing is for sure, he will have to make sure that he's able to kite out this Rona. You're not going to just stand and go toe to toe, no matter like how much CP you build with that AC up and running. Down and bottom, a 2-for-2 trade. Moji really not online quite yet. Has the Serpent's Mask. The mid turret does go down in the meantime. Has the Serpent's Mask, working on his way to the breaking point, and that's kind of the takeoff point for most of these Kenseis.
Yeah, absolutely, and you need a little bit of defense behind that as well. I want to have a look at the rest of the builds, though. As you can see, Fountain prioritized by Chamu here. I would have personally prioritized the Crucible a lot. It's kind of standard, especially from what we've seen from the European meta, to go for a Crucible first. You can see in North America, they love going for Fountain first, but when you're facing this much CC, Tony Taunt, Tony Ultimate, Samuel Ultimate, Arden Gauntlet, and Lance B and Lance Impale, that's a lot of things you got to block, dude. I mean, you at least need one on the table, and you can see Chamu actually has picked it up now, so we'll have that there available. But there's just so many things you need to Crucible.
Yeah, well, it's nice actually timing to go ahead and have these both up right now. It's going to help his team a lot. I'd imagine that this could be a signal for them to kind of group up to get some things done. Although at the same time, with this AC Reza build, it kind of feels like a more late game oriented build.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that he's tickling his opposition at this point in time. The trades that he took with Rona and Lance there, he did next to no damage. It does feel like it needs to ramp up, which is why I was talking about pairing it with the Dragon's Eye. So I imagine that's where he's going to be going.
Defensive Gauntlet out. Rona's on the back of the fight, taking a bit of damage here. Has into the fray if he wants to go ahead and jump out. Starts the spin just to go ahead and tank up some of that damage. Cause helps with the peel. And with that, Vision Gaming able to reset and get themselves out of this situation. But with this, it's Team Feroxx moving right into Ghostwing, and they take this very quickly. Remember, Lost Boy is actually starting to get some decent items up. They will well, actually now this is positioned to be contested. Do you make the jump? No jump made.
Well, I guess you have to respect the fact that they had positional advantage, and the fact that you'd used a lot of your fairly key ultimates already in the form of the Gauntlet and the Samuel Oblivion. So you always have to respect that. Maybe you're waiting for some later game power spikes, but the problem is that if you're going towards the later game, you just lose this, right? So you need to be looking to make a move at some point soon. Feroxx, though, they are scaling up. They are getting huge amounts of CS, especially onto this Kensei, who's now starting to build towards what I imagine is going to be a slumbering husk. And you can see Pecco here has got his remnants of what I imagine, like we talked about, would be that Dragon's Eye. And Scarf is also scaling too as well. I mean, how much time do you give to Feroxx here if you're Vision?
I'd give him about 13.5 minutes personally, and then get in there and just end them. Pecco's shoving this top lane down quite nicely. Look at this AC just going to work. I mean, who could have predicted this type of a result? Neon Fire, after clearing out the wave, will be able to get a little bit of damage onto Pecco, but he's not a real threat. I mean, you'd have to have some other damage source or another source of lockdown. Now, Cause is actually here. Is Pecco trying to turn this? But Papa John's made the rotation as well into a 2v2. Pecco, what's the play? Is he going to Netherform detonate over the... What are you doing? Is he just full debate? It's a full debate. He's got a
it's
water
a full
wall.
debate.
Oh my goodness, the jabation is out of control. I can't handle it. He's gonna die. Is Cause gonna die as well? Sure does look like it. Dragon's Breath from Lost Boy. Burn, baby, burn! I told you it was gonna be a fiery matchup here. And a Vanguard onto Tivo. Will slingshot Tivo back. Tivo's out of it. And at the end, they only lose 2, but that didn't feel real good, Scoundrel.
No, it did not. But that was an insane bait by Pecco there. They're going to go straight up towards... Are they going to Black Claw, like, right now? Yeah, they are. The Dragon's Eye does come through for Pecco. And like he said, it is that very split-push orientated build. You saw him doing work to that turret up there. Damn, I'm impressed by Feroxx. I think their draft was overall better, and they're executing very cleanly on it.
They definitely had a gimme for the first couple minutes of the game. Let us not forget I don't know what shade. I was gonna say shaded talent giving them one, but of course he didn't mean to do that. Blacklaw down in the mid lane. Vision Gaming will go to work on it. Pretty decent damage coming out, but at the same time, Peko shows up, goes and slap Shaded Talent, feeling fearful, throws the gauntlet down, trying to do their best to take down this Blacklaw, but a lot of damage coming out of Team Feroxx. You got to be careful. Don't let this Scarf just kind of stack up on you. Get this damage down. It's too easy for him at this point. He's not feeling threatened, hanging out at range, and you just see Vision Gaming on the back foot.
Yeah, and they still have a fountain from Chamu to contend with. Chamu only used that Crucible to block the gauntlet coming out from Shaded Talent. However, looks like Vision are ready to go in. Koz tries to find that Impale, but I mean, Muschi is just very tanky now, having picked up a couple of those defensive items.
Dude, they could turn it and actually get... There's no fountain for Shaded Talent. Like, I feel like they could actually go in and kill them right now.
I mean, that could have been easily been a 2-3 versus 5. I think they're just playing it safer.
Breaking point, weapon buff. They had fountain. Like, I mean, whatever. Hey, they're gonna play it safe. They back up, show a little bit of mercy. Can't blame them. In the meantime, though, it was Peko and Lost Boy kind of pressuring top a little bit. We'll go ahead and take some of the resources off of the map while their allies capture up Ghostwing now down. Ghostwing dropping down low. PvP tries to get in and contest it, won't be able to do so successfully. But now Team Feroxx on the run. Can Vision Gaming find a catch? Where is their reach? They need an impale. They need some stuns. They need to bada boom into a taunt. But none of it is happening.
Oh man, this is it's looking pretty dire right now for Vision, if I'm completely honest. Like I said, they have a very clear spike, which really came off the back of a 2-item Rona and a tension bow into a Sword Blade from Lance, but they're hitting those spikes late for their composition. The Samuel build, oh wait a second, I have no idea what Peko's doing here, but he is going ham. He's out. I can't believe he's out, but regardless, going pretty ham there, teleports back towards his team, might even get involved in a fight over the other side.
What is actually going on right now? Peko with the Jabate teleportation on in. PvP Warrior.
He gets the kill as well.
Down. I like. It's the next level play right now. You know, it's pretty hard to predict what may or may not happen next. As Team Feroxx descend upon Vision Gaming, Koz able to deal with the little Githian wall, but Mosji right back on in. This guy just slicing and dicing with that sword, having a good old time.
And I think the Samuel build, it's low damage, and it scales up, but it's very much there to facilitate the Rona specifically. This feels like a lot of the composition is built to try and help PvP Warrior on this Rona, but he's very far behind in terms of that breaking point. He needs to get that online. That is a core item for him to actually be able to be relevant in these team fights. And like I said, like once this gets later, you just don't beat a Kensei with a Lorelei specifically. And then you also, like we said, had that Scarf to deal with. I think this is a tough ask now for Vision to actually come out on top here.
Peko found Neon Fire. Neon Fire will be forced back, but Papa John rotates around. I feel like if Peko had stuck with him, that would be able to kill there, but not going to force it, not going to chase him down. They've got bigger fish to fry as Blacklaw lands on the map. And with this, you got to wonder, do Vision Gaming start to contest some of these moves, especially the Blacklaw take?
The thing is, like, you need that breaking point. Like for Rona, if you can't really fight, you just don't win fights without that breaking point.
Uh-oh, Shaded Talent kind of got magnetized to the wall. Gauntlet's down, and they will find a stun into the Impale, but Papa John actually doesn't care. This guy's incredibly tanky. They turned it around. Now Team Feroxx running at Vision as they melt down Lost Boy with the big Dragon's Breath, burning through Vision Gaming. Shaded Talent, the only man alive, the tankiest one on this team. And with that, Team Feroxx don't even need a Blacklaw. They could take it if they want to. But with this, they'll just go ahead and push in top, even a little chip damage onto mid. This is looking pretty easy for Feroxx here in game one.
I just think the draft, it feels like the Rona, not a great pick right now in the current meta. The Lance jungle is a really early game spiking hero that honestly you need to build kind of like half defensively and try and use a hyper carry to carry. But there isn't really a hyper carry for Vision. I think they're just going to straight up lose this.
Yep, sure does look that way. I mean, you got to realize there's an Aegis that's been completed as well. So choices were made, sacrificing damage for survivability. In the end, it does go the way of Feroxx in a pretty convincing fashion. With that, let's go ahead and break this one down back over in Vegas at the desk.
What a phenomenal performance coming out from Team Feroxx, and especially Peko on the Reza, going with a completely different build to what we're used to, but showing that he knows the absolute limits of that hero.
Yeah, the split push oriented build. I mean, that's what he loves to do.
Yeah.
That's what the style he plays more often than not, but so impressive is the way he gets out of situations that he has no right to escape from constantly.
Yeah, like watching Peko, I was on the edge of my seat. The one where he's like fighting them in the top lane, then teleports out into another fight, almost dies, gets it. It's like, what? Honestly, watching Peko is like watching an action film. I feel like I was watching James Bond.
Yeah, it's really impressive stuff to watch, but also you gotta look at the rest of the team from Feroxx as well. Lost Boy stepping on and playing the Scarf. That's a role that we are not familiar with Lost Boy playing. And he's able to have some huge Dragon Breaths in those team fights and just really kind of helped this team to get this victory before the Rona was able to get online.
I mean, we're used to seeing him play dinosaurs, just a different dinosaur. Let's see how these teams...
much larger one.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see how these teams managed to make it to this third place decider. Starting with Feroxx. They had a default win to start off the tournament in the round of 16 against Minigunners, but then a really impressive 2-0 victory over Hammers in the quarterfinal. And then, unfortunately for them, losing out in the semi-finals to Tribe Gaming. They had a really good game too, but Tribe with a better team on the deck.
Yeah, it was a very close series for them. And again, probably one of the more difficult paths for a team to take, having to go through Hammers and then having to play Tribe. On the other side, Vision Gaming, they had a little bit of an easier road to get here. Obviously, the bye week in the playing round. Then they had 2-0 over Witch Doctor, the default win versus Jenners, and then the 2-1 loss to Nova Esports yesterday, dropping them down into the third place decider.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a gutting loss for them, but Nova did look like the better team. At the end of the day, the wins that Nova got were convincing, that has to be said, and when it came to the team fighting, Nova had their number, and now, going into the third place decider, it feels like Feroxx has their number as well. This is a team that up until basically yesterday, we'd seen them doing a fantastic job of controlling the map. They look good in scrims as well. But now that they're against these top teams, they don't seem to be able to get a grip on what's...
It feels almost like they're trying to force them into, or force the
like they're
games
playing a different
into
style.
It's like they're trying to force picks that aren't necessarily fitting with the meta or their current regular play style. Like in this game, again, going for pretty much no hard, like pure carries.
I like it in theory. But you have to be ahead with the composition
when it works. Like it's good when it works, but when you're not it's not working. That's something you have to draw attention to because they are going away from the norm. They are going away from what everyone else is playing. But if it's not working, then you have to start wondering, there's a reason why everyone else is playing certain picks and certain compositions or banning certain heroes.
Do you know, when I saw the kind of full bruiser composition that we've just seen out of them, I thought this was like, oh, maybe this is the Kensei counter. Maybe this is the way that the meta shifts moving forward. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. Maybe we'll see similar compositions in the future, but definitely need to go back to the drawing board there.
I like the idea for trying to say, okay, this is what we think is the counter for Kensei. But again, they didn't have any damage themselves, and that ends up being a problem in those team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And Feroxx, I mean, we can't praise them enough. Fantastic game from them. Early aggression as well. We said the composition, especially when you've got a Fortress in your lineup, you want to push the advantage early. You want to be aggressive. That's exactly what they did. They had 5 kills before 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I also really like the fact that when they started to lose out on those trades, when members of Vision were finding those kills, they took the foot off the pedal a bit. They backed up a bit and said, okay, we got our early kills. We got the gold that we wanted early on. Now let's reel it in a little bit and wait until we're comfortable to go in for another fight. And it worked out excellently for them.
This ban list so far is feeling a lot like week 2 of the VPL right now. They're just banning the new heroes. Churnwalker will be taken off the board, which means Kinetic is available. And Feroxx looked like they were just waiting for that to slip through.
Yeah, they were absolutely ready for this Kinetic pick. And now let's see what Vision are going to answer with. I really want to see them get a little bit more of that kind of meta composition. Go for a dive assassin type hero and then build the rest of your composition around that. That's what a lot of teams have been doing over the past week or two, and it's been working for a lot of these top teams. You do say they are going to go for the Finn this time around. A little interesting that's their first pick, considering there hasn't been priority put onto Finn in the past couple of weeks, but then they grabbed the Samuel. That's obviously a very meta pick, but we'll see what they can do as far as assassins, because the Reza just got scooped up by the side of Feroxx.
I'm wondering where the Grumpjaw is in this draft. It wasn't in game 1 either. Like, Grumpjaw is incredibly strong right now, especially when it comes to fighting for the early game, which is, that was the story of game number 1. Neither team seems to be willing to pick it up. I'm not 100% sure why, but Tony going to be locked in here alongside the Finn and the Samuel, so we still need a weapon power carry, and then there's kind of that last role that you can sort of flex around a little bit.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see where they do want to go with this. I would like to see them, like I said, go for a traditional range carry. I'd love to see Gwen. I mean, PvP Warrior plays a phenomenal Gwen, and he's only shown it off like once this entire tournament and hasn't touched it again. He's gonna go for the Baron, so it's a bit riskier in terms of needing a lot more items to come online. But when it does come online, the effectiveness is through the roof.
I mean, when you look at the composition right now for Vision, they have a lot of AoE, they have a lot of cleave, and then they have a lot of peel. So this is very much, let's try and survive to the late game and win out the team fight. This is the kind of composition I was expecting to see out of Feroxx, honestly, coming into this series. On the other side, though, once again the Reza comes in. Idris this time comes in. They've got a Grace to help them out. They've got a Lance to engage with. This is, once again, an aggressive composition coming out from Feroxx.
I'm curious to see where these heroes end up, because right now they have Peko on the Lance. It's not really what he's been playing. I was expecting him to be on either Reza or Idris, but they might just be shaking things up a bit here and going for a little different. It's going to be a Fortress to round out the composition for the side of Vision. I like the Fortress pairing with a Finn, because you give him that little bit of extra movement speed that Finn desperately needs to be able to stay in a team fight that's not in the river.
Also, it gives you a little bit of early game presence as well. It helps you get to that late game stage with the Baron. But honestly, the side of Feroxx, I'm liking their composition. I wouldn't say it's a typical composition. It doesn't, like, honestly, these drafts haven't felt overly meta, like Grumpjaw, for example, just slipping through, but I think that they can pull it off. I think with the performance they had in game number 1, they can play aggressive and they can make these picks work.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Peko plays this Lance. That's the kind of only hesitation I have with their composition, because Peko's playstyle is so aggressive, and these split pushers using these high mobility heroes like the Idris or the Reza to dance around his opponents. So it's going to be an interesting play style for him.
It certainly is. It's time to get on into game number 2 and see if Feroxx can push this to a victory, or if we're going to see a comeback from Vision Gaming. It's time to pass it over once again to Humanist and Scoundrel to take away game number 2.
Welcome to game 2 in this third place matchup, where we find ourselves with Team Feroxx up 1-0. The question is, can Vision Gaming come back in this series? I'm Humanist. I'm joined by Scoundrel once again, and we're ready to get this underway.
Another late game scaling composition coming out from Feroxx, but it looks like Vision have actually answered with some scaling of their own. Baron is very strong on this current update. They also have the Samuel to follow him up as well. That is all of their damage, though, realistically. You're going to have a little bit coming from Tony, a little bit coming... Oh, my baby!
Oh, that's how you start a game! They got the pain train rolling right here. Team Feroxx got me going.
That was a bait and a half, mate, rated 8 out of 8. That was incredible read.
For $500 right here, my man.
I know, that is, that is, Humanist, I love you. That was a very, very, very good read, I think, on the invade on the CP buff. I think they just knew naturally that the CP buff invade was a very common early practice, and they waited, set up with the Lance, one of the best heroes to play with early game invades, and obviously looking incredible so far. I'm looking towards Papa John here. I'm wondering whether he's going to follow in suit with his interesting builds from the Reza. I'm not saying it was bad, because it worked, but it definitely felt like it took a while to come online.
I will say it's not as good as some things I've seen in the past. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes, I still think Aftershock is the superior item. Just because, you know, I'm not going to. Oh my god! I think that was a steal by Neon Fire there.
That was a nice steal. This is 3 heroes down here from Feroxx, so a great job by Neon Fire to waste a bit of their time You can tell he's thinking about going in for more with that Jawbreaker potentially. It's actually quite easy to kind of jump in and steal some of those camps away. Great hero to do so.
Yeah, really high burst damage on Jawbreaker. It was nerfed on the last update though, which I think rightfully so. Previously, Jawbreaker did inordinate amount of damage for an ability attached to a basic attack, but regardless. Yeah, I think what was I saying about the yeah, I just think I'm not doing results-based analysis here. I think Aftershock is the strictly superior item on Reza. Just because he won with the alternating current doesn't make it a good item on him. Having a look at Mozji though, he's gone for the 6 crystal bit. I think that automatically activates his perk, so now he can start to use those ranged basic attacks. And crystal bits are the most bang for your buck in terms of crystal output for gold expenditure. So she'll actually be hitting quite hard now, Humanist, with that 6 crystal bit in his inventory.
How does he lane? I mean, it's obviously a lot easier from range, but he doesn't lane too well against Samuel, does he?
No, not really. But as soon as the one in the wait a second. Just want to make sure there wasn't a big fight going to open up here. Maybe it will though.
You're such a gentleman of a color caster. PvP warrior just gets destroyed, and right back to you, scoundrel.
Right back to the scoundrel. Yeah, so basically one of the main reasons that the Idris usually struggles against a Samuel in lane is because of that range discrepancy. You don't activate your perk, usually until your first tier 3 item buy. Not many people do this 6 crystal bit tactic, simply because slot efficiency wise, you can't get boots, you can't get any other useful items that you might want in the early game that will keep you safe. But in 5v5, in the mid lane, the shorter lane where you usually have the support of your captain, you don't often need boots as much because the mid lane isn't going to be ganked as heavily compared to the top and bot lanes, and therefore it makes crystal bits, the 6 crystal bit tactic, a bit easier and alleviates those poor matchups for you against other ranged heroes.
Currently just rotating through the jungle with the Reza. Nice, efficient job, not putting himself in harm's way. It's efficient. I like it. The rest of Feroxx find themselves down and bottom, kind of going toe-to-toe with Cause and Neon Fire. Essentially just farming out, shoving the lane forward. Now Rock Bomber can go ahead and drop into his own jungle where he has his weapon camp spawning very shortly. I don't know if he'll go ahead and wait for anybody to split that down. TiVo! He's down in the mid lane. Mozji and Chamo able to go ahead and take him down, and that's a bit of a surprise kill. TiVo opting to go for no boots as well. Maybe a bit of a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, but also just you got to respect the Idris damage when he has a CP buff plus this heavy crystal bit investment. It spikes a lot earlier than you'd expect. And just because it's CP Idris doesn't mean that he can't hit hard when he gets that perk activated. And yeah, very impressed with Mozji so far in this mid lane. He's given himself a 3-kill advantage, and as a CP Idris, you do not want to see that because it is something that scales as well as a Baron into the late game.
Yeah, no, this is going to be pretty scary. And honestly, this is a hero that, if he's having a decent game, can make this Finn feel rather squishy when he starts to stack up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Finn is a perfect target for stacking CP carries because he is such a large model, means the Chakram's more likely to hit. Also, a fairly slow hero on the Sovereign's Rise as well, so it makes it easier as well if you end up having some sort of slowing in your kit. You might have a Frostburn added there. A lot of CP Idrises used to go for that Frostburn. Wait a second, though.
This seems sketchy. Feroxx dropping low. Mozji able to reposition with the Shimmer Strike out to jump back in. Petco trying to lock somebody down. Neon Fire and Shaded Talent are low. Vision Gaming, can they get in? They're not going to contest this. This is going Weapon Treant over to Feroxx. Another successful invade as they had 5 clumped up. TiVo's going to try and drop back in that Drifting Dark, and they will grab the Gold Oak, but they lose Cause for their troubles. Probably worth it right there, especially because you have all 5 of Feroxx.
Yeah, Feroxx again. I mean, with the later game scaling composition and the ones at 5-0 right now in 6 minutes into the game, and I look at it towards the draft of Vision Gaming again, and you say, well, okay, I kind of understand the Finn, but you don't really have much protection with the Baron. There's no one there that really facilitates him like an Arden or a Grace. Both of those, well, Arden doesn't feature and Grace is over on the side of Feroxx. I mean, it's not a great Baron composition if you sort of look at it that way. The only other way to look at it is the fact that you've got a Tony and a Fortress who will absorb attention on the front line, and then Baron should be left untouched that way. But realistically, it's kind of just Baron shoved in a random composition, really.
I mean, at some point, you get into a situation and you got to talk to the player, and you're like, what can we pick for you to carry this game? And odds are, this is what he wanted, so you go with what the player wants.
It's not a bad pick to carry a game, to be honest, you know, as a Baron, but you need to start funneling gold onto him, and he's had a pretty tough time in the laning phase so far at 0-2. However, has picked up that Serpent's Mask, which is a minor item spike for him, but Baron really needs 3 to 4 items to start to function. This is really not going to do him much. He's not going to be hitting hard. And at this point in the game, Aftershock, you've got a lot of gold on your CP Idris, who's now picked up his alternating current as well. These are item spikes that are tangible and have massive impact in terms of their output in team fights. You don't get that from a Baron with just the 1 item in the Serpent's Mask.
Feroxx take 4 heroes and move down to grab that Ghost Swing. They will do so successfully. And this means, though, that Pekka was able to push PvP Warrior and Cause off of the turret push in top. So an inefficient trade once again. They're going to pull up for the healing Treant here. Shaded Talon makes his way down. Weapon Treant spawning right now, but Feroxx are in position. They have this Ghost Wing buff stun up onto Cause. Cause not going to be able to get himself out of here. He will go down very shortly. No, the heal's keeping him alive for now. They turn it around. They take down Papa John. It's a disaster at this point for Feroxx. Look at the Baron actually getting some damage, but here comes Moji right over the top with his Idris dancing through with nice damage. Can they lock him down? Or
He's going mental!
Able to get a quadra kill for his troubles. Neon Fire with the bada boom will keep him alive. Feroxx turned that, that was turned around onto Feroxx, and Feroxx turned it right back around to Vision.
They know absolutely how to push an advantage. Every time one of the enemy buffs is up, they are there rotating into the jungle looking for a fight. They know they are stronger than Vision right now. They know they are looking to take those fights and try and push a mid-game gold advantage in their favor, as well as denying resources from their opponents. They look for the fights. Unfortunately, Vision can't respond. Even when it looked like Vision had taken the upper hand at the start of that team fight, the CP Idris hadn't even got involved yet, and he then came in and got that quadra kill. So I mean, this is all bells and whistles right now for Team Feroxx, but it is emergency bells for Vision Gaming.
The emergency bells. I didn't even know maybe bells a long time ago were used in emergency situations, but we're in the future
still have
now.
emergency. We have emergency bells in England. What are you talking about?
Do you? We have sirens here. So
no, it's all about we send out a guy when there's a fire to the middle of the town, and he rings the bell near the well, and then we hoist up some water from the well.
Could climb a tall ladder to make sure that the sound travels further as Papa John climbs into the top lane of the map to try and defend some of the pressure coming out of Cause and PvP Warrior. Once again, you guys, you're 2v1, like, they're not pushing fast enough. This seems sketchy. PvP is going to try to trade, but Mochi's here. Look at that. 1-2 basic attacks. You're done. You're done. Roasted and toasted. That's what's for dinner. A little bit of Baron.
7-1 CP Idris right now. No need for defensive items because he's not been threatened by this Samuel at any point in the game. Very happy to invest all of it back into CP, and he's picked up some tier 2 boots as well to help his mobility. No one there to contest the weapon power buff, and this is a ranged CP Idris with both a CP and weapon power buff. It's probably one of the scariest sights that you can ever see in VG, and Mozji is, well, certainly performing with it.
I mean, at least he's only level 9, right? So he's higher level than everybody on their team. Wait, that's not good either. So yeah, everything's looking pretty good for Team Feroxx. 10.5 minutes in, about a kill a minute at this point. Significant net worth advantage. Already up 1 game in the series. This is something to call home about.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 3rd place is on the line, and the difference between 3rd place and 4th place, 4th place, you get diddly squat. 3rd place, you actually get a bit of cash in your back pocket in the form of $500. So it looks like Team Feroxx are the ones that are gearing up for this, so a big fight breaks out. Yeah,
this is actually looking decent for Vision as this fight starts off. Remember, Moshi's up in top, so he's going to split push like a monster, though. Vision Gaming able to find 1 kill. They really need to go for more. This is a huge opening for them. There you go. They mark the target, jump on to Grace, find the kill. Breaking point will be picked up now for the Baron. A nice power spike for him. Straight over to Ghostwing, but look up the top. This is turret down. Now Mochi will be onto the base turret, and down at bottom, Pekko on the bottom base turret as well. Cause has made his rotation up the top, but this is a level 8 Fortress to a level 10 Idris, and he's by himself. Ghostwing's captured. Now Vision Gaming, what do you do? What is the play here?
Well, I think they have to back off to respond to Mozji. Mozji realizes that he can't see anybody on the map from Vision now, so he's going to take that space and back off. But overall, it was a decent trade for Feroxx. I think they realized Vision that they can make an engage, knowing that the strongest member is on the top side of the map with no way to get down because he didn't have the teleport boots. But overall, it was a good response from Feroxx. They definitely didn't win that team fight around the Ghost Wing, and they obviously lost a major objective in the form of Ghost Wing. But realistically, to get something on the map was a good trade overall. But got to praise Vision as well here, Humanist, being proactive, realizing that this is a good way to find themselves back with some gold in their back pockets, and coming away with a win in that team fight was giving them a much-needed boon in a game that was definitely going against them.
PvP Warrior suddenly in a place where he can actually fight. I'd love to see him pick up a minion's foot, so if they get into the next engage, he's going to get that guaranteed crit to start off, means he's going to get a couple breaking point stacks to start off for sure. Still has to play it cautiously, very careful, because Feroxx are incredibly strong at this point. But this guy is capable of trading some blows right now. I
mean, yes, for sure. I mean, he needs time, though. Breaking point Baron is something that worked really well with Critical Strike, because you'd instantly build a crud ton of stacks. But with just a Surface Mass behind you, that's going to take a while to stack up in the fights.
A nice block on the Forced Accord. Attack of the Pack is out. They're on to Lance. Lance looks like he's going to stay alive through this. Divine Intervention helped keep him alive for a little while. Actually, Vision Gaming take him down. They switch on over. They find Moji. Moji doesn't have any defense. Papa John jumps in, trying to disrupt the fight. Back over onto the Idris. You guys need to focus the damage down. Neon Fire tanking as much as he can. Will it be enough time? PvP Warrior jump jetting backwards. They don't find the Idris. What is going on? Vision Gaming not able to capitalize on a great start, and Moji just breaking their ankles.
I feel like that was a mistake from PvP Warrior. I definitely felt like there was cause to make an aggressive jump just to land 2 basic attacks on to Moji, because he was that close to death in that team fight. I don't feel like you needed to be that scared as PvP Warrior. Once you kill Moji, that is pretty much the majority of the damage out the window. You just saw Papa John expend his ultimate and a couple of dashes to get out of the fight. A lot of ways that you can get punished was down. Already down. I feel like he could have been more aggressive there, but I mean, all credit, again, perfectly timed ultimate from Moji to keep him safe.
Yep, indeed. Moji, you got to give the guy credit for making these plays. He started strong, and he's playing through this mid game incredibly strong as well. Now, Blacklaw is going to be marching down the lane against Vision. Maybe Team Feroxx overstepped himself, and Vision finds something that they can punish here. Papa John's in. He's on to Shaded Talent, chunking through this. Finn doesn't even look like he's tanky at all. Nice peel by Pekko. Forced Accord M. They're under the turret now, but they're also onto some of the key targets for Vision Gaming. Vision Gaming turning around. They take down the Reza. Finn will drop. Double kill coming in here for the Idris one more time. Moji, can he buy enough time with a Shimmer Strike? Yes, he can. Finds himself.
He's got a
quadra kill. TiVo trying to kite back in the Drifting Dark. Get you some Kinetic right there. In fact, Kinetic almost dropping TiVo down. TiVo, bless your lucky stars, will stay alive. And look at the health bars on Feroxx over here. There's no care in the world. If you got 1 HP, you're alive.
Oh, that was... I feel like they could have got the ace there, by the way, Humanist, and that might give them the option to potentially finish this game. But I kind of felt that Rock was trying to donate the penta over to Moji, but Moji didn't have the dash to get over the wall. So I feel like it was a tiny, tiny attempted gift, but unfortunately meant that they didn't have that ace to reset their health bars, and that could have given them the option to push through for the win. But right now, it's enough. With the Black Claw pushing down onto this armory, I do think Vision have actually stopped the armory going down, which they have, but they are not in a great position to try and defend from here. There's a lot of open space in their base. 2 choke point turrets have ended up going down, which means there's a lot more free maneuverability now for the very mobile team of Team Feroxx.
What's also rough, and I don't personally agree with, but we'll see how it's going to go ahead and work out, is the PvP looks like he's going for a Slumbering Husk. That means that that's got to get completed before he's picking up any more damage items, and that's going to fully set him back. He's also going to make sure that he has a fresh infusion as well. So honestly, he might not get another weapon item for like 5 minutes.
And that doesn't bode well for their late game power output. I mean, the Slumbering Husk makes sense, but I actually don't think he's being targeted too heavily in these fights. I think what is happening for the most part is we're getting quite elongated fights that's allowing this Idris to stack up with the Dragon's Eye. I agree with you. I don't think it's completely necessary right now. He's not getting caught out that much. He's kind of the last one to die in most of these fights, Humanist.
Well, TiVo tried to take that away from him in the last one, did so successfully. We'll see if PvP can do something here. Need to have some big plays, cause he's just the disruptive force, marking targets, trying to get a little burst damage out, and get some bleed onto these key targets. Shaded Talent, he did land that Forced Accord in the last engagement, but it still didn't go well for Vision Gaming. It's just, it feels so hard for them to be in a position where they could take one of these fights.
So Vision now, I mean, let's talk about what they can do to try and bring themselves back in. They've got a great front line. We definitely need to buy some more time for PvP Warrior. He's going to need at least 3 items, I think, to be relevant here in these fights. Samuel as well. He needs a Dragon's Eye, I think, to compete. I think he needs a Tivo needs a Dragon's Eye to compete with the way that these fights end up going. Right now, it's a fairly low damage output build from him, and he's not really facing that much shielding to be able to have to rip through with that Broken Myth. I might actually say that there's actually a Slumbering Husk on Mozji. But otherwise, you know, Papa John, the guy that's threatening him directly, not much shielding there. You can see he took a bit of a chunk there just from one of his A's.
Okay. Easy call by Feroxx to move in and take this armory down. One more attack. They should be able to easily do it. And with this, do they get out? Shaded Talent. Do you go in for the engage? A little bit sketchy here. Feroxx, it feels almost like a debate. They take a bit of damage, but we know this team is super strong right now. Peko isolated from his team, but he loops back around, little ring around the Rosie. They turn it. Nobody will be impaled just yet. PvP Warrior jump jetting into a better position. Holy Nova will not connect. It's both teams trading blows, looking for the opening. Nice pull over the wall to isolate the Grace. Chop her down, exactly what you needed. I mean, sometimes you don't need to be pulling 2, 3, 4 heroes, and you just grab one target and go ahead and destroy them. Mozji is low. This is the mark from Cause. They have the movement speed. Careful, buddy. Chakram flies. That would be a disaster if Mozji was able to find a kill, but he will not. That's 2 kills going the way of Vision Gaming. And they may be able to find a T1 on this. No, they go straight to Blacklaw. Of course they will. Honestly, they're so far behind, it feels like this could actually be contested.
Potentially, but you can see Rock Bobber backing off here. He's actually only got 2 items on this weapon power kinetic. He has not gone for a 3rd item soon. He's actually invested heavily into what is defense and also teleport boots, potentially teleport boots for map pressure. In fact, there's teleport boots on everybody. There's teleport boots on Chamu, Peko, Papa, Rock Bomber, and I can only imagine that Mozji will upgrade to a set of teleport boots himself as well. Are they looking for some sort of crazy all-in? With
I sure hope so.
Yeah, I mean that could very potentially be a possibility.
You play-by-play it, all right? Can we make that agreement?
If you want me to.
Yeah, man, for sure. I would love to see like Scoundrel unleashed upon a map's teleport for the end in the 3rd place matchup to end things out. Or yeah, something like that. Vision Gaming, they're just gonna hang back. They don't even want to get in range. They're like, okay, Blacklaw.
Oh, wait a second.
Take the T1.
Lance, yeah, here we go. This is it. They're actually doing it.
Are they really going for this? You gotta. They're coming in 1 by 1 right now. This doesn't look very good for Feroxx, but maybe they know something I don't know. Where are you at, PvP? Is he stacking up the breaking point? Yes, he is. About 10 right now. 8 breaking point stacks. Keep it on the key targets. Mozji's low. Chamu as well. Chamu will fall. There's the jump in from Cause. He's marked his target. They got the light still. They have the movement speed. Peko left for dead on the back of the fight. Tivo the only one to go down for Vision Gaming. And in fact, if Cause continues, no, his team's kind of far back there. Cause can continue to chase Papa John pretty easily though.
Yeah, Papa John will have the resets on his dash, though he should be able to get away from Cos at this point in time, especially going over things like those walls. That was so telegraphed. It was so telegraphed from Feroxx. I love the way they tried to end that in style. Lance goes over, slams down a Vision, a scout cam, and then everybody teleports to it. But I mean, you could see that Vision were ready for it.
You called it out. I was like, wait, okay, so Peko's, are they all really? Yeah, they're all really going. I was so amused, I forgot about our deal to let you play-by-play it.
It's all right, mate. I think better you take it. If it happens again, we'll be ready for the next one if it happens again. You can actually
That's what
see
I say
that
when someone comes into my lane and takes the last hit.
By the way, they have sold their teleport boots and invested in real boots. Not that teleport boots aren't real boots; they're very good. But you can see Chamu, who's gone for war treads, and I think Mozji is now going to work towards a pair of journey boots. The problem with the teleport boots is that it's great for a play like that if it works, but it severely limits your team fighting potential, especially on such mobile carries like Idris. You really need that extra movement speed sometimes to help keep you safe or get into a better position.
So PvP goes for his second full defense item. Talk to me. Is Peko dead? Sure looks like it. I don't see him getting out of this one. No one's going to be in time to save him. This is a free kill for Vision. Oh, is it? Oh, look at the rest of the team. The rest of the team, they're over the wall. Papa John and Rob.
Peko's still alive.
Oh my gosh, it's like these guys are playing in Worlds 2018, 5,000 IQ plays they're on. You can't stop Papa John when it's time to deliver a third place victory. What a play.